So Don, I hear you're going traveling again.
Yes, on Wednesday the 29th of February, the last day of February, I'm deported from Canada. I'm banned from returning to Canada until March 2013. But not only am I leaving Canada, I'm going straight to the belly of the beast in Norway. I've got a job with the Green Warriors of Norway. I'm going to live on a boat, the Eco Queen in Bergen. So this Norwegian-owned company, Cermaq, have really shot themselves in the foot. By launching this lawsuit, they've drawn global attention to salmon farming. They've named themselves in this lawsuit, and I'm going to their territory and on their home turf fight them in Norway.
What kind of support do you think you have in Norway?
Oh, it's amazing. Even in Norway, there's huge support from the fishing community, from the Sami, from the native people who want wild salmon, not farm salmon, from communities up and down the coast. I've raised over $100,000 to pay my lawyer, and over $10,000 from Norway. The river owners, the salmon fishermen in Norway donated over $10,000, 60,000 Norwegian kroner to the cause. And the editor of a Swedish fly fishing magazine republished one of the cigarette graphics and wrote in an editorial that he supported the Salmon Farming Kills campaign, and he said, "So sue me then, bring it on." So that was just this month. So I think the support in Europe is building, and they're ashamed to be Norwegian. They're ashamed of the practices of this Norwegian-owned multinational in British Columbia.
What do you think is going to happen with the Cohen inquiry?
Justice Cohen has got a very difficult job on his hands. He has to come out with a report by June 2012. So by June, he has to make recommendations. And everybody, except the salmon farmers and the government, were calling for him to recommend the removal of salmon farms on the migration routes for wild sockeye salmon. So the only sensible thing is for him to come out very strongly and say wild salmon must be protected, and we want to move those salmon farms. We want to get rid of the cancer on the coast. And if he doesn't do that, I think it sends the wrong signal to the province of British Columbia that Canada doesn't care about wild Pacific salmon.
What about the lawsuit? What do you think is going to happen there?
The jury's still out. Justice Adair still needs to rule, and it may take months, it may take the end of the year for her to come out with a final judgment. But in terms of an immediate injunction, she hasn't ruled yet, but that's still on the table, and the plaintiff, in this case Cermaq, the Norwegian government, are asking for a gagging order, an immediate injunction against me speaking out on salmon farming issues. But it's not just me, it's the injunction talks about my agents, my servants, and anybody with knowledge of this injunction is not allowed to speak out against salmon farming. So this is not just about Don Staniford and salmon farming, this is about the whole environmental community and freedom of speech issues across the world. And Canada is the laughingstock of the world. Here you have a Norwegian-owned multinational abusing the Canadian legal system to clamp down on legitimate, fair criticism of a polluting industry.
What would you like the public to do here while you're gone?
I think just carry on campaigning, and what I can bring to the table is information from Norway. We're going to keep in touch on Facebook. The Facebook community is amazing. We've had over 1,000 new members on our Salmon Are Sacred Facebook page. I've had over 500 new friends in the last month during the trial, and the social media is impressive. We've had coverage on Norwegian TV. We've got Holly and Kevin singing a song tonight, and we're really galvanizing people across the world and shining the light on Norwegian-owned multinationals. They control over 97% of production here in British Columbia, maybe over 60% in Scotland, over 60% in Chile, and over 60% in Ireland, and obviously in Norway. So this is a global problem, and it demands global solutions, and the power of the internet means that people can mobilize together.
You got the last word for all your supporters?
I'm amazed, I'm astounded. It's great to see so many people supporting on Facebook, on Twitter, here in person, just the power of the internet. And I think this whole Salmon Are Sacred movement has revolutionized the way that people work. Alexandra Morton calls Salmon Are Sacred an NO, not an NGO. It's not a non-governmental organization, it's a non-organization. And I took that template with Gaia, the Global Alliance Against Industrial Aquaculture, and have used that. You know, it's just a faceless NO, but I think we've done a lot of powerful work, and it just shows what people can do. You know, the power of one, but we all have that power.
Want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, and I'm learning Norwegian, and I'll send daily updates on Facebook and Twitter and keep in touch. But please keep passing the information on from British Columbia.
Thank you very much. What do you think about this whole salmon?
I was going to say, there's two things happening. I mean, Don's being deported because he overstayed his visa, but, you know, conveniently that's happening right now as his trial's just taken place. What I think about it is that we're in a situation on this West Coast where I was born and raised. My grandfather was a fisherman, my husband was a logger, and I've watched what's happening in the environment here, and it's going down, and it's going down hard, and the next generations are the ones that are really going to feel the pinch. And these issues around salmon farms and the decline of wild salmon are fundamental to quality of life. And Don Staniford has been an individual standing up and raising the flag up the flagpole and saying, hey people, we got a problem. So that's what I think Don is doing. I think he's putting himself out there. And it behooves every single one of us citizens who care to raise our voices and participate in this so-called democracy and make it a real democracy, and now is the time to do that.
Don's been an inspiration for me for, you know, fighting for salmon and being a creative type, because I see Don as an artist. He doesn't see himself as that, but he's responding in the moment creatively, whether it's dressing up as a superhero or tobacco, cigarette packs. So he's been very inspirational for me, and has also kind of pushed my creativity too in terms of the limits that I can go. So I'm actually going to follow him to Norway. We're going to track him down and help him finish the job. And you know, the salmon are calling and they want us to speak, so we're going to go to Norway and tell the king what the Canadians think of what's going on here.
Well, Don, give him shit. Keep up the good work.
How are you, bud?
Well, I'm pretty sad. It's a sad day that Don's been deported. He's an amazing guy. I've worked with him for years, and he's definitely an inspirational guy, and he's done a lot of good work protecting salmon, so it's a sad day for me to see him leave. But I hear he's going on to do some good work again, so I'm sure he's going to do great work in Europe, so good luck to him, and all the best.
Don Staniford, he came to Canada, and he showed us what it was really like to be a warrior, to be somebody who's willing to take a stand and not back down, not 1 inch. And as a matter of fact, he's a fun-loving guy. He likes to get out there and enjoy what he does, and you can see the exuberance of what he does in his eyes and his spirit and everything. And sometimes when I watch him, it reminds me of the reputation that we have as Canadians. Geez, we're polite. Those Canadians are really polite. And then we get a guy like Don, and he gets in your face. He's gets in your face kind of guy. And when he sees something wrong, when he sees there's no justice, that's when he really calls the shots, and he really tells it like it is.
And we all should.
And that's what that can be very contagious, as you can see. We have our own warriors who are not afraid to get up there and do it as well. Hey, give it a big one! Give a big one for Don Staniford. Yeah, so I was just talking to people about how in sharp contrast you are to the reputation of Canadians being very polite people. And so to get in your face kind of guy you are, I think shows a good example of what really needs to be done. What does it really mean to take a stand for something that is so important to all of us? This dude is going to jail. He's ready. Look at this. He says, "Take me." He's going to start a revolution in jail. He's going to get all the prisoners to eat wild salmon. Anyways. Yeah, let Jay do the intro.
All right, thanks, Eddie. Eddie will be back, so don't fret. So thank you, Eddie. Yes. Okay, so we'll get Don to say me a quick word, and he can come back. Okay. All right, so Don, how does it feel to be evicted? Oh no, that's worse. You're deported. Maybe you could tell the story of what has happened since the trial and what's going on for you.
Okay, yeah. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. It's going to be really sad to leave Canada. I've made so many great friends over the last 2 years. I came into British Columbia, into Vancouver for the Olympics in February 2010. We organized a series of protests against the Norwegian government. We protested outside the Norway-Canada hockey game with Nicole McKay and others. Damien Gillis, the filmmaker, we tried to deliver a letter to the King of Norway in Whistler during the 50-kilometer ski race, which was won by Norway. But Norway is bringing international disrepute to the country by the actions of its salmon farming companies. And it's not being xenophobic to be anti-Norwegian and anti-Norwegian salmon farming. The reason the cigarette packets say Norwegian owned is because here in British Columbia, over 98% of production is controlled by 3 Norwegian companies. So when I'm tomorrow, Wednesday, the last day of February, which is a leap year, I will be deported from Canada, and instead of checking in at the aeroplane, I'll go to the Canadian Border Services Agency office, and they'll escort me. They won't put me in handcuffs, but they'll escort me to the check-in. But because I'm such a terrorist threat, you know, apparently they call me Dangerous Don in Tofino. So they're going to escort me all the way to the plane, and I'm thinking of wearing this lovely fetching orange jumpsuit. And hopefully Jay and others will have their cameras, and my friends in England have asked for pictures of the Mounties. Everybody in England thinks that the Canadian police are the Mounties drinking Labatt's lager. So I'll be going back to England, but very soon I'll be flying directly to Norway, and I'll be taking up a position as the global coordinator on salmon farming issues for the Green Warriors of Norway, working under the leadership and I'll be working under Kurt Oddekalv, who's very much like Norway's Paul Watson. And it's the boat, I'll be living on a boat called the Eco Queen, which is a 100-foot catamaran. It has a helipad, it has underwater video cameras, and we'll be going a tour of the salmon farms. And in Norway, the fisheries minister, the equivalent of Keith Ashfield, is a salmon farm owner. The finance minister in the Norwegian government is the former chairman of the company suing me, and the agriculture minister has interest in salmon farming. So to be critical about salmon farming in Norway is almost like being anti the Iraq war under the Bush government. It's anti-Norwegian, but the amount of support around the world has been staggering. I raised over $100,000 for my lawyer, David Sutherland, so is David here?
He just sits over there.
He's hiding, but we'll try and get David on the microphone because... He's on a beach. But I think I raised over $10,000 from Norway, and the editor of a Swedish fly fishing magazine republished the the Salmon Farming Kills Wild Baby Salmon cigarette packet, and wrote an editorial supporting me and saying, so sue me then. But I just want to thank my lawyer, David Sutherland, who's I want to, anybody who was in the trial will have seen how David operates, but some people described him as the legal equivalent of Columbo, or the lawyer's equivalent of House. But you know, this guy is a genius, and win, lose or draw with a lawsuit, I think we've won in the court of public opinion. But I just want to again thank you David, and if you want to come up after this and say a couple of words, that would be great. But thank you everybody for coming tonight, and we're going to have a bit of a party, but I may leave Canada, but I'll be back in March 2013, so in a year's time, I'm allowed to come back, unless Stephen Harper's turned Canada into a fascist police state, and all those prisons will contain people like you in orange jumpsuits. Hopefully that's not the case, but I'm going to be working for the Green Warriors of Norway, but today we've got so many wild salmon warriors, and the Salmon Are Sacred movement that Alexander Morton and Anissa Reid and myself started 2 years ago has really driven and been a groundswell movement here. And I also want to thank Anissa Reid, who is going to write Anissa is the lovely lady here. She's the creative genius behind the Wild, the backbone of the BC coast. She's done the cigarette graphics. She's done the Salmon Are Sacred graphics. And she's going to publish a book called Cartoons and Graphics That Got My Friends Sued. So that's coming out in a couple of months. But also thanks to Jay Peachy and the creative energy that he brings to the campaign and the art. Thanks to Elena and Sabra and Jeff the Spy and Tria, the Wilderness Committee have been supportive, and George, everybody who paddled down the Fraser River, everybody who walked down the island. I think we have a real wild salmon warrior movement here, and we're going to have some connections in Norway. And again, thanks to Eddie for his powerful drumming, and I think Eddie's is Eddie gonna sing a song now, or? But David, I don't know if you want to say some words. I'm gonna. David.
I think I'm one of very few people that has really seen how incredible you are. You quoted Alexander Morton as saying that, you know, some of the things that you say, Don, seem, you know, right off the wall. But then she said, but you know, then you ask him about it and he explains it, and in fact, it's right. It's truth. It's actually, you're preaching truth, you know, to power. You're preaching truth to power, and that I should have such a client is such an honor. That I should have such a client. Through you, I've met a great number of very effective and powerful people. I really have.
Oh, it's
Thank you, my friend.
Don is the beacon of free speech. Don has done nothing wrong other than tell the truth, and this is a complete outrageous crime being committed against our rights as Canadian citizens. This situation started with the salmon farms coming in here and just raping our west coast and spreading disease and killing off a lot of the wildlife. Don just said that, and Mainstream came in, and this company came in to sue them. And it's a slap suit, very simple, where they want to silence you, they want to intimidate you, they want to financially burden you. And they sued him for about $1.5 million, and he has zero money. So it really is a a terrible travesty that we allowed slap suits in the very beginning.
I live up in the interior, a place called Dragon Lake. My name is Douglas Gook, and the salmon are very, very important for that part of the river. We're about 2/3 of the way up the Fraser River system, and so all the impacts that are going on with farm salmon and their impacts on wild stocks is being felt big time within all the communities all through that basin. It's time that we had the same kind of concern that Don and others have had for many years to get these stories and issues out there so that we can bring an end to the toxic, cancerous problems. So I want to wish Don many, I love the way corporate slaps sometimes work when people know how to do judo moves. Don is going to be backed up in a major way in terms of potential campaigning on these issues for all of us planetarily. So all the best to Don, and he's welcome back in my little neck of the Fraser River because of what he's done and helped in terms of keeping wild salmon sacred. Thanks.
The Conservative government, as you know, has branded each and every one of us as terrorists, environmental terrorists. And what they're trying to do is protect the Norwegian aquaculture industry that is actually destroying our marine environment and has created has come to be a true menace and a big threat to the survival of wild salmon. So who are the terrorists? I ask you. Marine harvest. Yay, mainland. Right, they're the terrorists. Right. So, anyways, when they look upon us as people who are struggling and fighting, you know, to do what needs to be done, they call us naive, idealists. But when you really look at it, what is really going on, you can see that if civilization continues on the course it's on right now, it's going to lead to our ultimate self-destruction.
Right on. Right on.
Who are the naive ones? I think it's the Conservative government and all those big corporations and salmon farmers. Those are the ones who are naive. And it's practical-minded people who can see that we are on a wrong course. And what we need to do is build a new order. And a new order that will reflect what our ancestors really wanted. And that is to have prosperity and peace amongst everyone. And to live in harmony. To create that harmony amongst humanity, the natural world, and everything that is sacred. That is what the true vision really needs to be about. And we can do it. We can take those pragmatic steps one by one and make a difference. And one of those pragmatic steps that we can take is to take all those fish farmer terrorists and put them in jail and free Don Staniford. He's going to be deported. He'll be away. He'll be temporary. He's on his way back. I know it. And I'm just happy that he's going to a good place. And I think, as each and every one of you do, that what the Conservative government has done in deporting Don is a backfired on them. Because he's going to even be more effective as to what he does over in Norway, right at the heartland of where all the problems are coming from. So give it up for Don Staniford again. I'm going to sing the Eagle Vision song. I know that's one song that Don likes. The Eagle Vision is a song that honors the eagles. And the eagle is the one that flies the highest in the sky. And when we sing our sacred songs, like this one, it's the eagle spirit that's going to take our prayers, our good thoughts, our good vision for what needs to be done for the benefit of future generations. We're going to take our collective prayers and let the eagle spirit take them to Creator. And really believe that we are going to make a difference. And when you put your faith in something, much the way Don Staniford does, magic is going to take place, and we can have a better world. We can have an abundance of salmon if we only have the wisdom to do what is right. We know that those in power right now are loath to let go of that order that they've created about power, about domination, and about conflict, and about greed. That's what that's all about. They're not going to let that go very easily. So they will not let go of it. So it's up to each and every one of us to make a difference and break down that kind of power and to replace it with something that will bring more harmony and peace amongst all of us and with the natural world. So we can follow the natural laws that will ultimately bring us the kind of abundance that we can enjoy if we only give it its chance. Here's the Eagle Vision song. It's all about hope and optimism.
Say this, Don, this is not goodbye. There's more coming, and this is just the beginning, so see you in 1 year, if not sooner.